What separates a franchise-defining masterstroke from a reckless overpay that haunts a front office for years? Sometimes it's nothing more than timing, luck, and a young player's hunger to prove the doubters catastrophically wrong. Right now, in the heart of Chicago, that question has been answered with emphatic authority, and the basketball world is starting to realize that the Bulls' front office might have just pulled off one of the shrewdest contract negotiations in recent NBA memory. When Chicago inked Josh Giddey to a 4-year, $100 million extension this past summer, the reaction across the league ranged from skeptical eyebrow raises to outright mockery. $25 million per season for a player who couldn't crack consistent double-digit scoring? For a restricted free agent whose offensive game was considered a work in progress? The critics sharpen their knives, ready to carve up another example of NBA front office incompetence. Fast forward just 1 month into the 2025-26 season, and those same critics are eating a buffet of crow, seasoned with humble pie and garnished with their own premature judgments. The numbers don't lie. They scream, let's cut through the noise and examine the cold, hard statistics that are making executives around the league kick themselves for not being more aggressive in pursuit of Giddey's services. Through 14 games, the 23-year-old Australian isn't just contributing to the Bulls, he's carrying them. Leading the team in scoring, assists, and minutes played, Giddey has transformed from a promising prospect into a legitimate franchise cornerstone practically overnight. His stat line reads like something from a video game played on rookie difficulty: 20.8 points, 9.7 rebounds, and 9.8 assists per game. Read those numbers again. That's not just good, that's historically elite territory. We're talking about a player flirting with a triple-double average as the primary option on a team that currently sits at 8-6, defying preseason predictions that had them lottery-bound. John Hollinger of The Athletic, one of the most respected analytical minds in basketball journalism, didn't mince words when evaluating Chicago's decision. Whatever you think of the trade that brought him to the Windy City in the first place, the Chicago Bulls' decision to re-sign Josh Giddey for 4 years and $100 million in restricted free agency looks brilliant. Brilliant. Not good. Not decent. Not they got lucky. Brilliant. The context makes it even sweeter here's where the Bulls' negotiation becomes even more impressive. At $25 million annually, Giddey occupies the same salary space as players like Anthony Simons, Christian Braun, Naz Reid, and Draymond Green. Now, let's be brutally honest. While each of those players brings value to their respective teams, not a single one is averaging anything remotely close to Giddey's production as a number one option. Simons is a talented scorer, but he's not orchestrating an offense. Braun is a solid role player emerging in Denver's system. Reid provides excellent bench production. Green, once a defensive mastermind, is clearly in the twilight phase of his career. None of them are putting up near triple-double numbers while serving as their team's primary offensive engine. The financial implications extend beyond just this season's production. According to Hollinger's analysis, Giddey's team-friendly deal positions Chicago to have maximum cap flexibility this summer, the kind of financial breathing room that allows franchises to make legitimate moves in free agency. He's playing like a max contract superstar while occupying just $25 million on Chicago's books for the 3 seasons after this one, Hollinger noted. Partly as a result, Chicago is set up to have max cap room this summer to bring in more talent around him and Kobe White. Translation: the Bulls didn't just secure a star player at a discount, they created a foundation for sustainable contention. That's organizational chess, not checkers. The journey to this moment, let's rewind the tape to understand how we arrived at this point. Last offseason, Chicago made the controversial decision to send defensive stalwart Alex Caruso to the Oklahoma City Thunder in exchange for Giddey. The move was immediately questioned, trading a proven, championship-experienced defender for a young player with inconsistent offensive production and defensive limitations seemed counterintuitive for a team supposedly trying to compete. But the Bulls' front office saw something others didn't. They recognized untapped potential, a player whose skill set was being underutilized in Oklahoma City's crowded backcourt. They saw a 6 feet 8 inches point guard with elite vision, improving shooting mechanics, and the basketball IQ to run an offense at the highest level. Last season, Giddey was steady but unspectacular. He filled up the stat sheet in that uniquely versatile way, contributing across multiple categories without dominating any single one. Chicago hovered around .500, continuing their frustrating pattern of mediocrity that has defined the franchise for much of the past decade. Then came the contract decision. As a restricted free agent, Giddey represented a calculated risk. The Bulls could have let him test the market, potentially matching an offer sheet from another team. Instead, they acted decisively, locking him up before he could prove his worth to the entire league. That decision, made when the outcome was far from certain, now looks like the kind of bold, forward-thinking move that separates competent front offices from exceptional ones. The chaos factor. Bulls basketball in 2025 now. Let's address the elephant in the United Center. The Chicago Bulls remain one of the most maddeningly inconsistent teams in professional basketball. Your experience watching them depends entirely on which version of the team decides to show up on any given night. Their recent victory over the Portland Trail Blazers perfectly encapsulates this Jekyll and Hyde existence. For 3 quarters, Chicago looked unstoppable. Giddey, White, and Nikola Vucevic orchestrating an offensive clinic that had Portland scrambling for answers. The Bulls built an 18-point lead, seemingly cruising toward an easy victory. Then, the fourth quarter happened. In a 9-minute stretch that can only be described as basketball self-sabotage, Chicago scored just 8 points. 8. They watched their comfortable lead evaporate like morning fog under a scorching sun. Portland, energized by Chicago's offensive collapse, stormed back to take the lead with less than a minute remaining. Down 4 with 10 seconds left, most teams would have accepted defeat. But Kobe White hit a clutch three-pointer to cut it to 1. The Bulls fouled, Portland made 1 free throw, and Chicago found themselves down 2 with seconds remaining. What happened next was pure basketball drama. White found Vucevic, who launched a three-pointer as time expired. Swish! Bulls win. This is Chicago basketball in 2025, equal parts exhilarating and infuriating, capable of beating anyone and losing to anyone, often in the same game. The All-Star conversation Hollinger didn't stop at praising the contract value. He went further, suggesting that Giddey's current trajectory could land him his first All-Star selection at just 23 years old. Giddey is off to a brilliant start that has him nearly averaging a triple-double, and he's playing at a level that could end in his making his first All-Star team at age 23. An All-Star appearance would validate everything the Bulls believed when they committed $100 million to his future. It would also significantly increase his market value, making the current contract look even more like highway robbery for Chicago's front office. The Eastern Conference All-Star picture remains crowded with established names, but Giddey's production is becoming impossible to ignore. If he maintains anywhere close to his current pace, the coaches and media members who vote for reserves will have no choice but to include him in the conversation. What this means for Chicago's future, the Bulls have been trapped in basketball purgatory for years. Too good a tank for premium draft picks, not good enough to make legitimate playoff noise. They've been the definition of mediocrity, the team that makes the play-in tournament only to get bounced in the first round. Giddey's emergence offers a potential escape route from that cycle. Combined with Kobe White's development and the veteran presence of Vucevic, Chicago suddenly has the foundation of a competitive core. Add in the cap flexibility that Giddey's team-friendly deal provides, and the Bulls could realistically pursue significant upgrades this summer. The question isn't whether Giddey is worth $25 million annually. That debate is over. The question now is whether Chicago can build around him intelligently, adding complementary pieces that maximize his unique skill set while addressing the defensive inconsistencies that continue to plague this roster. In a league where max contracts are handed out like participation trophies and teams regularly hamstring themselves with bloated deals for declining veterans, the Bulls' decision to secure Josh Giddey at $25 million per year stands as a masterclass in value acquisition. Was there risk involved? Absolutely. Could it have backfired spectacularly? Without question. But that's what separates competent management from exceptional management, the willingness to make calculated bets on talent before the rest of the league catches on. Right now, 1 month into the season, that bet is paying dividends that exceed even the most optimistic projections. Giddey isn't just meeting expectations, he's obliterating them, redefining what this Bulls team can be, and making everyone who questioned the deal look foolish in the process. Chicago might still be frustratingly inconsistent. They might still lose leads they have no business losing. But they now have something they've lacked for years. A genuine young star locked into a team-friendly deal with the potential to attract additional talent. That's not luck. That's not an accident. That's brilliant front office work, plain and simple. What do you think? Is Giddey a legitimate all-star candidate? Or is this hot start just a small sample size mirage? Drop your thoughts in the comments below, and don't forget to smash that like button if you're as excited about Chicago's future as we are.